Good afternoon to everyone. This is our informational webinar on the University of North Carolina, or UNC, Russian Flagship Program. We are recording today, so everyone came in on mute so that we can capture all of this information and share it with others. Before we begin today, I want to make sure you know how to handle your WebEx event control panel. As you probably already know, WebEx is accessible online and via app. So what you see there on the left-hand side of the screen is probably very similar to what you have either on your computer or your device, whichever you chose today. And it may vary a little bit with the browser you have that you are using. As I said, everyone is on mute for the recording, but you'll have plenty of time to ask questions and things like that, and we can even unmute if we need to. The control panel on the side always displays the host or speaker. Right now that's me, but we're going to have two panelists today running things. We will do one polling question just to make sure everything is functioning well and also to find out your motivations for being here today. And then the chat box or Q&A is also always available. And I would encourage you to use that and make sure when you ask a question or share a comment that you use the part that will get the information to all of the panelists who are on the line today. Also, the buttons at the bottom of your screen are yours to help you navigate through. Obviously, the chat or the Q&A button is the one in the middle that's blue in this particular graphic. And the other one that you might want to know about is the one in red that has the X on it. At the end of the broadcast, that's what you click to log off. And if anything happens to your connection along the way, please don't worry. You can always use the same login link that you got to begin the webinar if you want to jump back in. So this should be easy enough. So let's go ahead and do our polling question. Make sure your control panel is in fact working correctly. We'd like to know, why did you join the broadcast today? What's your motivation? Did you want to find out more about the UNC Russian Flagship Program? Did you want to earn one contact hour for license renewal for our broadcasts? Did you want to gather information to share with your department, your team, your school, or your district? Did you want to learn about the courses, the scholarships, and internships available through the UNC Russian Flagship Program? Or did you need to ask a question about K-12 Russian study or North Carolina global education? So I will go ahead and open that poll. You can just click on all of the answers that apply to you. And as I said, it should appear in your control panel, pretty easily accessible. All right, looks like we're almost finished. Go ahead and get all of your answers in. Like I said, you can check as many of these as you need to that apply to you. Great. Thank you for sharing your motivations today. I'm going to go ahead and share the poll results with you. It looks like everyone is here to either find out more about our UNC Russian Flagship Program or to learn about the courses, the scholarship, and internships available through that. We'll have plenty of time to discuss that today and ask any questions that you're curious about. All right, here's our agenda for today. We are exclusively focused on the Russian Flagship Program. We're going to talk about the requirements, the capstone year involved, the flagship community, the student ambassador visits, the Instagram account that shares information, the funding that's involved, and where you can learn more about how to get involved. And then we'll do a brief wrap-up and questions if needed. We have two speakers with us today from the UNC Russian Flagship Program, which is part of the College of Arts and Sciences Area Studies Group and the National Language Flagship Program. We have Meredith Doubleday, the Assistant Director, and Griffin McGuire, a Flagship Student Ambassador. They're going to tell you a little bit more about themselves in general, and then they're going to share with you about the Russian Flagship Program. Give me just a moment behind the scenes here to hand over the controls to them so that they can share their slides in the way that works best for them. One moment, please. All right. Meredith, you should have the controls and you can share your screen when you're ready to go.
Oh, Anne-Marie, actually, why don't we have, I don't have it pulled up, I'm sorry. Do you
Oh, no worries.
mind, I misunderstood that. Do you mind taking back that control and dealing with me saying next?
No problem at all. Give me just a second.
While we're waiting, I'll introduce myself. Thank you all for coming. My name is Meredith Doubleday. I'm Assistant Director of the Russian Flagship Program. I'm new to UNC, to North Carolina, because of this particular exciting initiative. And before I talk more about it, I'll have Griffin introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Griffin. I'm a senior at UNC, or fourth year student. I'm a participant in the Russian Flagship Program, and I also work as a student ambassador. So I help out at events like these and with social media and promoting events and so on and so forth. And I'm very excited to be here. I think this is an amazing program with a lot of great opportunities, and I'm excited to share my experiences and more about the program itself.
Okay.
All right, Anne-Marie, take it away. Thank you. So the Russian Flagship Program, like I mentioned and Anne-Marie alluded to earlier, is part of the Language Flagship, which is a federally funded initiative to help U.S. college students, Americans, get better at languages deemed critical to national security and economic development. One of those is Russian. And so last year, UNC Chapel Hill competed for and was awarded the ability to have a flagship program, which makes us the 8th Russian flagship program in the US. So there are only 8 of these total. The oldest one, I believe, is UCLA. It's been around for 20 plus years. So this isn't something that happens every day. And we're really, really excited that it exists on campus. And we're here to talk a little bit more about what it means for our students like Griffin, and students who might be interested in applying to UNC Chapel Hill because of this opportunity. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the slogan of the Language Flagship Initiative is creating global professionals. So Anne-Marie, if you go to the next slide, and if you click next, there's some pretty pictures to accompany everything we do. This program is meant to help students gain a professional, truly superior level of Russian language proficiency. Superior is the technical term used, but it's for students of all majors and academic backgrounds. So I'm not here today to convince you to make all of your students Russian majors, or to say that you can only participate in this program if you want to read Russian literature for the rest of your life. If that is the case, that's fantastic. But this program is meant to complement all the other interests that your students have and really create global professionals out of them, make them ready for the 21st century workforce through all of the different events and communities that they engage with. So in order to participate, if we take a look at the next slide, what are the program requirements? And as you'll be able to see here, the program requirements are actually pretty vague. And that's meant purposefully so that we can work around everything else that students are doing and are interested in. First, 4 years of Russian language studies or their intensive equivalent. So this means that if students come in their first year, they start off in 101, then they're going to be in great shape to complete the flagship on time. They could come in later and do some sort of accelerated summer coursework. We're really excited that for the first time ever, UNC Chapel Hill, because of Flagship, is able to offer intensive summer coursework designed specifically for that type of student profile. But also students in North Carolina who are maybe heritage speakers, Russian speaking, or they study Russian through NC Virtual, they might be able to jump ahead. There aren't any specific number of courses that students are required to take. It's all proficiency based. In addition to study at UNC, students participate in a pre-capstone summer study abroad in a Russian-speaking country. So this can be Russia, this can be Latvia, this can be Kazakhstan. Students are just required to live with a host family on an intensive language immersive experience to kind of, again, help speed forward and accelerate their proficiency, but also giving them their first taste abroad, you know, to really mess up that Russian grammar in real life, get that practice they need, have some moments of cultural differences and similarities with their host family and those they interact with, and have their first real global experience. All of this prepares for the capstone study abroad academic year in Kazakhstan, which Griffin is going to talk more about. But as you can see, again, I want to highlight the fact that these are the requirements of the program. It doesn't seem like much. It is, because you have to be quite dedicated to maintaining those proficiency goals, and we have a lot of support and resources in place to help with that. But it does show the flexibility that it can complement everything else that students are interested in doing and take into account their specific timeline. So Griffin, do you want to talk more about the capstone year?
Yeah, sure thing. If we could just move on to the next slide, and thank you. So the capstone year, this is, well, to me, I think one of the best opportunities at large that not only the Russian Flagship Program offers, but that you can find at UNC. This is what really attracted me to the program. As Meredith already said, this is very new to UNC, so we only have gotten Russian Flagship this last year, and had it come any earlier, I definitely would have joined as soon as I could have. And I was lucky that things lined up for me, since I had already studied abroad in Russia a couple of summers ago, so that lined up perfectly as my pre-capstone. And Russian has been a big part of my curriculum since a freshman, so I've already completed those 4 years. And so now I've been accepted, and I am looking forward to, in August, joining the Russian Flagship Capstone program in Kazakhstan, in Almaty. And I don't know if you could maybe click it again. There should be, there we go. Thank you. So this program, this is the big part of the program to really reach you, get you up to that superior level that Meredith was talking about, to that professional level of fluency. So by the end of this 10 months, this academic year, you should, be able to have a skill set in Russian that you can bring with you to the professional workspace. And so this year is generally taken as a 5th year academic undergrad, or you could also substitute your senior year, make it a 4th year. Really, it's up to you. But I myself am doing it as a 5th year undergrad. And so what this entails, obviously, first and foremost, advanced language courses, which are housed at the local university in Almaty that sponsors our program there. And so these are, of course, grammar, practical speaking, phonetics, these sort of courses that I took abroad a couple of years ago. But the great part about the capstone program is that you can take courses that are specifically related to your major or your interests. So I could, I'm looking forward to potentially taking classes about politics and history and music. These are some of my own interests, but I'm specifically excited to be able to learn how to, speak about these interests and topics through the Russian language, and really specialize my language abilities. And lastly, on this slide, completion of a professional internship. That's also another great opportunity that comes out of this capstone program. Your 2nd semester there, the program, the Russian Flagship Program, helps you to find an internship in which you use the Russian language every day, and one that really fits, again, your own specific niches and interest. And so it's intentionally vague, because an internship can really mean a lot of things. There's people that have worked at local radio stations, at music studios, but also at like local courthouses, biology labs. It's really only limited by your imagination, and the program is there to help you find those internships that work best for you. And I also like this slide here. As Meredith said, we like the pretty background. This here is a very beautiful and very beautiful natural site located not very far from Almaty, the host city. And Kazakhstan is a massive country, and there are tons and tons of beautiful geographic and historically interesting features across the country, which I've been doing my own research, so I'm excited to explore when I get the chance. And then the next slide has information on Almaty in particular. This is the host city. It's the largest city in Kazakhstan. And it's a very beautiful city, as you may tell by the pictures here, located at the foot of this mountain range. And so what this program in Almaty encompasses is a homestay. The vast majority of students stay with a Kazakh Russian-speaking family. I myself stayed with the Russian-speaking family in St. Petersburg a couple of summers ago, and I think that's just one of the best ways to really advance your Russian abilities, since you're learning how to use the Russian language in a more personal and intimate context. In addition to that, you have a formal relationship provided to you. You're paired up with a Russian-speaking tutor of about your age, also at the university. Of course, this is not the limit of your interaction with Russian-speaking natives, as you're at the university every day. You're in these classes alongside your Russian-speaking classmates, and I think these interactions that you have on a daily basis are just a great way to improve your speaking abilities on a day-to-day basis. And this last point here, excursions, overnight trips, and other opportunities. These are all just ways to leave Almaty and explore Kazakhstan. There's plenty of program-sponsored excursions, but since you're here for essentially the whole year, there's plenty of opportunities for students to make the most out of their own experience and dive into what really interests them, and make the most out of it and come up with their own excursions. And yeah, this is all that's about Kazakhstan and Almaty. And of course, at the end, if there's any more specific questions about Almaty and the CAPSTONE program, we'll be happy to answer those. I think the next slide. Yes, the flagship community. And if you could bring up, sorry, there we go. Thank you. So the flagship community, this is bringing it back to UNC. This is what we call our resource pool, our people, the people that really make this program so special and fun at the same time. It's what we like to use the phrasing, a diverse yet close-knit community of like-minded students. And so diverse in many ways, including our majors. We don't specifically seek out Russian majors. I myself am actually not a Russian culture or language major. I'm a global studies and political science major. So we're seeking students who are brought together solely by their interest in learning this critical language. And so the resources that we have available to all of our students include individualized tutoring on a weekly basis, which expands into group tutoring. So you're paired off with other students about your skill level. And just speaking from experience, the tutoring is one of the best ways to really improve your language abilities outside the classroom, because in these environments on a one-on-one basis, you're really forced to use the language in a way more than you would in the classroom setting when you're taking it with about 20 other students at a time. In addition to the tutoring, we have plenty of cultural events and excursions. Through the virtual Zoom world, we've been making the most out of these events as we can, and so far I think they've been incredibly successful. We've had guest speakers, we've had interesting cultural activities such as cooking nights and film nights. And these are all great, but I'm looking forward to the time when we can bring things back on campus, and these cultural events are going to be even better, even more immersive, and all around informative. And excursions are a part of that as well. Personalized advising, professional development opportunities. The staff and faculty of the Russian Flagship Program are there to help you on your academic journey in all sorts of ways, through your classwork, through your language learning abilities. And in addition to that, we have resources available to help you find internships where you can use the Russian language in these internships. I myself worked at the library working with Russian text, and now I'm working as a student ambassador. I still use the Russian language on social media. in other contexts. So that these are opportunities provided by the Russian Flagship Program to help you advance your Russian abilities and improve your resume at the same time. And I think the next slide is about our Instagram, if I remember correctly. Or no, sorry, the student ambassador visits, right. So I myself am a student ambassador, and we are completely and happily available to visit high school classrooms. And we've done a few different, I myself have done a couple presentations on Russian history and Russian culture. I think these are a great way to really connect with high school students who may or may not be interested in the Russian language, not only to, increase their exposure to this part of the world, but also to get them interested in potentially studying the language in college. So, we're available to share experiences, our own experiences with Russian Flagship Program and studying abroad and Russian classes at UNC, and also to provide information and a way to get involved in learning Russian at the high school level. And then also looking forward to when they graduate and potentially come to UNC and study at our wonderful program. But this is just a great way to immerse or to introduce high school students to the Russian language. And the Russian Flagship Program is happy to get involved and reach out to high schools and send our ambassadors to talk to these students like myself. And then the next one is our Instagram page. This is our one of our most active and interacted with social medias. We advise you, if you're at all interested in this program, to follow our page. We do Flagship Fridays. These are just fun cultural stories and posts about Russia and former Soviet Union. We have language learning post and of course plenty of program updates and event information. So this is really one of the best ways to stay up to date with our program. And I think that's all from me. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Griffin. Thank you for talking more about the capstone year. I'm so excited that you're going to be able to go on that next year, and talking about the ability to come in and share with your classes, the experiences that our student ambassadors have studying Russian at UNC, participating in the flagship program, sharing cultural information, sharing their experiences studying abroad. We're happy to come in and work with you in whatever way is most helpful to you and your students. The last thing I want to talk about today is our funding. Anne-Marie, if you mind hitting the next slide here. Oh, looks like we've lost you. Okay, so in addition to providing students the opportunity to not only study abroad once, but twice in the Russian-speaking world, we also provide financial support through the Language Flagship Initiative to make this possible. There's support for domestic and overseas summer programming. There's funding for the capstone year in Almaty, Kazakhstan. Also, students who participate in the program as flagship students receive preferential consideration at the national level for additional uber competitive US government awards such as Boren. There's a specific Boren scholarship application just for flagship, critical language scholarship, Gilman. These scholarships that students who are interested in having a global experience will be applying to or interested in anyways, they'll have a leg up on their peers in the competition just by being a flagship undergraduate, which is really exciting. We also have a very close working relationship with ROTC. There is an ROTC flagship initiative that supports students who are ROTC cadets and midshipmen who also participate in the program, since knowledge, professional proficiency of a critical language like Russian is very important for ROTC cadets and midshipmen. So if you have students who are potentially interested in both of these things or one of these things, we definitely recommend connecting with us so we can connect you with one of our flagship students who is affiliated with ROTC, because there are incredible benefits for those students. Anne-Marie, if you don't mind going to the next page. So we've talked a lot about what the requirements are for students at UNC, what students would be able to do with this program, how this prepares them to not only graduate with a ridiculously high level of proficiency in Russian language, to have multiple global experiences, to get funding for internships abroad that are specialized to what they want to do in their future, to get access in-house to professional development funds, to have internship opportunities on campus, research, summer volunteer opportunities. We're there to support these students in everything that they're doing once they're undergraduates. But in addition, like Griffin mentioned, we also really want to highlight that it's not too early for students to express interest in this program. We have all of our social media pages listed here. Highly recommend you pass these along to your students so that they can start following us. There are events that we do for the larger flagship community, and that includes you and your students. We have many interested prospective UNC applicants, as well as community members who pop in on Zoom to different events, and we'll continue having events open to the public in the fall once we're all back on campus, hopefully. But addition, please reach out if you think it might be valuable for your students to hear from another student, someone closer to their age, about what it was like to study abroad in a Russian-speaking country, what opportunities are like for students who want to become global professionals and to have access to these types of opportunities. And we welcome any sort of collaboration or questions that you might have. So with that, I'll turn it over and see if there's any questions.
We do have a couple of questions here that have come up. The first one is about getting started with Russian early. There are a few places that offer Russian programs, of course, mostly in high schools, as well as North Carolina virtual offering it across the state for levels 1 and 2. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe how a student would get involved with that, or if there are opportunities, let's say, on the UNC campus, even for high school students to start taking Russian in preparation for a program like this?
Yes, absolutely. So regardless of where the student studies Russian or how they get to the level that they get, they're welcome once they come on campus to take a placement exam and get placed in the right course for them. So if you have a local offering for Russian, I definitely please take advantage of that. If not, like Anne-Marie, like you mentioned, there is NC Virtual where students are able to which I believe is free of cost to any North Carolina public school participant, to take Russian 1 and 2 virtually, which is really incredible. And I think, Griffin, you took advantage of that program when you started. Is that correct?
Right, that was my first formal introduction to Russian in high school, was 2 semesters virtual in CVPS. And I thought it was a great experience, especially for a high schooler who was interested in Russian and not necessarily the languages that were offered at my school, but that was a great opportunity.
So that is definitely the place that I would start off if you're a student in North Carolina, or if you have students in your classrooms who are interested. Additionally, like I alluded to a bit earlier, for the first time ever, UNC has been able to put together coursework over the summer for intensive summer coursework. So students who register will be able to complete all of first year Russian or all of second year Russian in summer session 1 and 2. So over the summer, you can jump ahead a whole year in Russian language proficiency, which is incredible. So if you're interested in those opportunities, please, again, reach out to us. Great question.
All right. We also have a question about, you said that this Russian flagship program is the 8th in the nation. So how did UNC get chosen for this program?
Well, that actually is a bit before my time. I was hired this past August and moved down mid-pandemic to Durham, North Carolina, because of the program. But my colleagues put in a lot of hard work and effort into this grant application, and of course, consulted with other flagships in the U.S. as they put together the application. But it took, from what I hear, a lot of grit and a lot of hard work to get this opportunity on campus. And hopefully, if this program does well, then we might be able to bring other languages to UNC Chapel Hill, since Russian is not the only critical language, although as a Russian instructor myself, I think it's the one everyone should pick.
We have sort of a related question, speaking of picking Russian. Griffin, there are some folks who want to know, how did you decide as a student in North Carolina to start pursuing Russian, and what led you to even pick the major you're in now and then ultimately study abroad?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my interest in Russian, I would say, I've always had a long-standing interest since maybe about middle school or before in international relations, looking globally. In Cold War history particularly, I had a very strong interest. And of course, learning about the Cold War, that led me to being interested about the Soviet Union and then being interested about Russian in particular. And then somehow I think I found the opportunity through my high school that you could take some languages online through NCVPS, and I saw Russian was an option. And so that's my interest really started there. Was I saw that it was available, and I knew I had my own interest in that part of the world. And then from there, it was just a continuing spiral of falling more in love with Russian and more interested in Russian and Russian culture. And yeah, so I came to UNC. I knew I wanted to study Russian. I also knew my interests particularly were focused in the international relations sphere. So that's why I chose my major, global studies, and particularly with global studies, you can at UNC you can specialize it to your own interest. So my specialization in the global studies major is related to Russia and Eastern Europe, which requires a language requirement as well. And so Russian has always been a huge focus of my academic career, and I've taken it every semester here. Coming in with this mindset and this attitude, I knew that study abroad was going to be a top priority for me. So the second summer of my time here at UNC, I found a program housed by American Councils, which is the same program that co-sponsors the Russian flagship CAPSTONE year. There was a few different choices. I think Moscow, St. Petersburg, and maybe one or two other cities in Russia. And I was particularly interested in studying in St. Petersburg, and I think it was a fantastic choice. St. Petersburg is a wonderful city, and I studied there with a couple of other students from UNC, and then a few more from around the country. And yeah, just that's how the story of my interest in Russian. And so far it's just been wonderful. It's given me so many opportunities. It's helped expand my own horizons and my own perspectives about the world, and I'm very grateful for that.
And I'll mention that all of Griffin's hard work has paid off, because not only is he going to be participating in the CAPSTONE year, but he also is a recipient of the Boren Scholarship that is completely funding the opportunity, and is an incredibly prestigious award. So we're really proud of him and all the hard work that he put in before he even knew that this was a possibility.
Thank you. I'm very excited for that as well. And I think the Boren Award is also another fantastic opportunity, just particularly because, well, first and foremost, it sponsors the whole program, but it also sets you up for post-graduation. The Boren has a requirement for government service. So I'm looking forward to the next steps after CAPSTONE, where I'll be able to get my footing in a career choice of my own interest.
All right.
Any other questions, Anne-Marie?
Yeah. Speaking of careers, it sounds like Griffin has a plan, definitely with the global studies work and so forth. But what other majors are students pursuing through the UNC Russian Flagship Program, or flagship programs in general? What do you hear about from across the country? What's the variety look like?
Yeah, so because, like Griffin mentioned, there is an internship component to the capstone year in ALMATY. Students can tailor that internship to whatever their specific personal, professional, and academic interests and goals are. So we have a list of what students have done in the past, but it is by no means exhaustive. And this is great because it means that students, regardless of their background or their interests, can tailor the experience, which is why it has such a wide appeal. This is all to say that the answer to who should study in this program is yes. We have STEM, we have humanities, we have social sciences. There's the ability for pre-med students to follow doctors around in hospitals and clinics in ALMATY. We have pre-law students who intern at at law firms. We have students who are engaged in the arts who intern at local and national organizations located at ALMATY. We have students in who are in public health and they get engaged with the World Health Organization in ALMATY. So you name it, we can find an opportunity, which ties back into that slogan of creating global professionals, because again, this level of language proficiency is meant to help in everything else that you want to do, and giving you that professional internship opportunity only adds more to your resume and helps pad it to launch you into your early career, to graduate school, whatever's next for you.
All right, we have kind of a related question. The understanding is, of course, this program's at UNC Chapel Hill. But what if you're not a student at UNC Chapel Hill, but maybe someplace else in the UNC system, or if you're getting ready to apply to universities, you know, what do you need to be thinking about to get to this program, and can you get to this program through other paths here in North Carolina? How would that work?
So we definitely have some students. This is the first year of the program, so we're still working through all those details, but we have had students who have applied to transfer to UNC Chapel Hill because of this program. So if that describes you, if you're a student who's considering transferring to UNC because of this program, or if you're a prospective high school student and you're trying to see what's out there, definitely reach out so that we can talk more about what pathways are available for you based off of your level of Russian, what your other interests are. But as long as you're not coming to us with 1 year left of college and 4 years of Russian to learn, we likely can figure something out.
All right, I'm looking for any last questions. We did have someone ask something, I think, on a more humorous side. Do you have to learn how to play chess to be in this program? I think they're referencing the series right now that's in popular media about the chess masters going to Russia.
I think chess is harder to master than the Russian language. I don't know, Griffin, what do you think?
I think everyone should learn how to play chess. I think it's fun, and as you said, it's an important cultural caveat in Russia, especially older generations. I think it's very common. You can find public chess boards in Russian parks, and there's usually people playing. So if you want to, I definitely advise you should learn how to play. It is hard. It is hard.
Yeah, it's not even a stereotype. I remember leaving my dorm in provincial cities in Russia every day, seeing people with a makeshift chessboard playing. It is very popular. So not a requirement for the flagship program, but maybe we should consider it for future.
Great. That looks like all the questions now. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us that we should walk away thinking about today?
I think the thing that I would want to drive home is that this is something that students might not necessarily think is for them just by first hearing about it. So if you're able to do any cheerleading on our behalf to students to have them start thinking about the fact that study abroad can be accessible and affordable, and that studying a language like Russian is not as intimidating as it sounds, that's the biggest takeaway. And the second takeaway is that we're new to the community, we're new to campus, not the people besides me, but the organization, and we're really excited to engage with you as a community member, as a high school or middle school instructor or coordinator. So if there's any way that you think we might be able to collaborate, we're very open to any sort of discussion on that. So please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
And Griffin, your thoughts to walk away with today?
Well, I just think once again, to emphasize everything that Meredith said, this is just an amazing opportunity, and it's really unique, and it's special, and we're lucky here at UNC to be able to house this program, as Meredith emphasized already. I just think if you're at all interested in a globally oriented career in languages in general, Russian is one of the best languages you can learn. It is hard. it's not it's not as hard as some other languages can be, but it's definitely harder than French or German or Spanish. So it's challenging, it's fun, it's just a great opportunity, and I've only have good memories and good experiences so far being involved with the Russian department, and since I've been involved with the Russian Flagship Program. So just my final thought is, if for any students listening or that this information will be passed along to, I highly recommend that you consider this program.
Great. Well, thank you both. This is our wrap up in questions. So I think you've answered most of the questions we've had. Please take a look though. I did put the UNC Russian Flagship Program link to the admissions page, but of course that website is all connected. Lots of information on that page, and you can always contact Meredith at her email posted on the screen, or go to that website and find out more.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Great. Thank you for being on board. And
Thank you.
I think that's sort of the wrap up. Other than that, please know that this information will be posted today. The archives will be posted with a recording and the handouts and so forth. We will have a handout with the K-12 Russian Study in North Carolina flyer. And then we'll send along the contact hour certificate for CEUs for licensure renewal. That's it. We thank you for joining us today. We especially thank our guest panelists for sharing all of their information, particularly their insight into how this program got started, or is still getting started, I guess, on the UNC Chapel Hill campus, and the benefits it could bring to all students who are interested in Russian, and pairing that with whatever major or career focus that they have with their work.